Hi everyone. We've just come back from summer break and I've had my first week back teaching of the autumn term and it's been really wonderful. And I haven't made a video in a while, but I've got a really good reason for this one. So some of you already know, over the summer I decided to try out a new project, which was to create my own practice planners, my own piano planners. I had a lot of fun. It was creative in a very different way, and I'm so pleased with how they turned out. I have just finished my first week of teaching, and that was the week where I gave all the practice planners out to my younger students. I created it for use with children learning to play the piano, but I am creating one for my adult students too, but it's just going to be tweaked and some different things going on. So I was waiting for the hardback version of the planner to arrive in the post, and 9 o'clock last night it arrived. So I decided to do this video just to give you a mini tour of the planner so you can see what's in it, because the description is fine, but I think seeing it in person is even better. So here they are. So this is the hardback and the paperback. I will show you, but I mean it's identical insides, but it'd be easier to flick through this one. So and don't worry, I won't go on too long, I'll just show you the main features. So here is just inside the front cover a place for the student to write their name, when their lesson is, and I want to learn to play the piano, because now they don't have to fill this in, but it's just a nice thing to get them to think about why they're learning to play the piano. And all week I've been asking my students, saying, you know, why do you want to learn to play the piano? What do you think you're going to write in your planner? And they've been coming up with the most beautiful things, just really simple. Some of them just say, because I love music, or because it's fun, or because, you know, they're really creative. So this is a really nice simple page for them to do. Then we have a contents page. So you can navigate around the planner. Now these two pages, there's one for teachers over here, how to use this planner, and this one over here, how to use the planner for students and then for parents. So if you're a teacher who is buying this book to use with your students, you've got basically a roadmap through the planner and how to use it. And then on the other side, for the student and the parent, how to use it at home. So to make it nice and simple. Then we have some example pages. This is the main double page spread of the per week planner pages, filled in as an example to show how I think it could be used. But there's places to sort of make it your own. So here we go. It's divided up into, I should have said this first, there's 52 double page spreads, so it covers all 52 weeks of the year, but it's divided up into 3 terms, autumn, spring and summer term, so that you can kind of keep track of things by term. And at the start of every term there is a goals page. So here's our autumn term goals page, and space for 3 goals that can be set. And this is a really useful thing because, I mean, people have mixed opinions about goals. For some people it gives them a lot of stress because there's an expectation to meet those goals, and if they don't meet those goals, maybe they failed at things. However, there's more benefits than drawbacks when it comes to setting goals, especially for young people learning to play the piano. And the key point is to set the goals with the child. So that's what I was explaining to all of my students this week. We didn't set goals in the very first week back after summer term because I hadn't seen them, after summer break, because I hadn't seen them for 7 weeks. So, but I said, we'll work out where we are, and next week we can let's try and set a goal so it's not too much pressure. And the most lovely thing was that lots of them during the lesson were coming up with ideas when they'd come across something they were playing from their book, or they were trying out a bit of technique. They'd say, oh, I think this could be one of my goals. And it just made me so happy because they're thinking about what they could work towards. So it's just the 1 page per term, but I think it's a really important one. Okay, here is let's hold this still. The double page spread, so you've got 52 of these. The autumn term ones have a leaf. So as you flick through, see if I can do this without dropping it. We go to spring term with flowers and summer term with the sun. So the double page spread has, on this side, we've got columns for up to 3 pieces that they might be working on at any one time. And then over on this page, we've got headings, technique, scales, arpeggios, and other. Now this is where, as the teacher, and you're using this, you can edit it. You know, if your student is doing sight reading, for example, you can write sight reading in other, or cross out scales and arpeggios and put it in there. Whatever you want to do to make it work for your student. And here is where you fill in what you might have put in a notebook. So that's what I used to use up until this term. Every student had a notebook, just a little A6 notebook of lined paper. And I would send them home every week with a practice sheet. So it was a lot of printing, a lot of paper, and loose paper at that, which, if you have children who come home with bits of paper from school, you'll know they get lost. So pieces of paper would go missing, they'd come back without practice sheets, they'd get crumpled up, they'd slide down the sofa or whatever. So now it's all in one place. You've got the tick boxes for Monday to Friday underneath each piece and activity that's been set for the week. So they can kind of have some accountability for the practice they're doing at home. And as the teacher, you can see at a glance how practice has gone. Now, my favourite bit of this, which is a little bit of a surprise for, for most people, is this little innocuous box here, which is titled Reflections on This Week. So I've explained it to my students this week. This is a place for you to just write down, either during the week when you've been doing some practice, or at the end of the week before you come to the lesson, to reflect on how things have gone that week. Things they liked, things they didn't like, things they found difficult, things they want to learn, things they loved. And I was very clear with them. I said, I don't want you to just write something you think I want to read, as in, it doesn't have to be all positive. So if you're practicing a piece or a bit of a piece or doing a bit of technique and you're finding it difficult, or you're kind of, I just don't like this piece, I said, you can write that in there and it's okay. And this is really important for me, because detaching it from a face-to-face interaction in the lesson, very few children are confident enough to say to their music teacher, I don't like that piece you're making me learn. Whereas if they write it in their practice book, in their planner, then it's one step removed, but they can still express how they feel. Because as teachers, I believe it's very important to be responsive to your student. Obviously, you're guiding them down the pathways and you're teaching them all the different concepts and skills and with the curriculum that you follow. But it can't be rigid, because that's when the children stop practicing or they decide to stop learning altogether. If you haven't managed to find something to motivate them, or missed a cue that they're not enjoying something, and I will freely admit that has happened to me many times, and one fairly recently, which is what prompted me to put it in these practice planner pages. I just didn't realise that this one student didn't like the piece we were learning, and and it took a while to get there, but it's made me rethink the pieces that I'm offering, and I'm finding things that are more in line with what they want, and therefore more likely to result in practice and enjoyment of the music. So that's how this works. So you fill this in, send them home, and they use it to track their practice and bring it back to the lesson every single week. So I'm just going to skip towards the end, because near the end, right at the end, this is a very important page. At the end of the summer term, so after you've done the whole academic year, we've got end of year reflections. So this page, obviously I haven't used it yet because I only made them in the summer, but this page I think is going to be one of the most satisfying pages to complete. So we've got 3 sections. Top one up here is skills. So this is where you can use your termly goals that you set throughout the year to record skills and concepts that they've achieved, that they've accomplished. Then we've got I learned blank pieces this year, so number of pieces in their repertoire that they've learned. And then down here, achievements. So this could cover anything: assessments, exams, festivals, recitals, anything they took part in a piano sense. That can qualify as an achievement. You can put it there, and then they can see, and their parents can see, what they've managed to do in a whole year of piano tuition, which I think is a really valuable thing, because this is a long journey learning to play the piano. And in fact, I was discussing it with one of my adults this week. It's very hard to see your progress week on week as an adult or a child. Whereas if you record yourself, for example, and look back, you can see your progress over a period of time. But also having it written down in a book is I think it's going to be a really big boost for the kids at the end of the year. Okay. Next, we have a recital preparation page here. So this won't apply to everybody. If you don't do recitals in your studio, that's fine. I only started doing them 2 years ago. I'm going to be doing my third one this academic year. So it's to sort of record the information about, date, time and place of the recital, what piece they'll be playing, friends and family coming to support me are. And then this grid down here is to schedule practice performances, because when you perform a piece on the piano or any instrument at a recital, the recital should not be the first time you've performed it. and a performance is a very loose sense of the word. It could be to your brother, it could be to your parents, but you make it like a real performance. So you give yourself the opportunity to be in that situation and feel what it's like to be on the spot playing your piece, and get used to that feeling, because it's not like any other feeling. Speaking from experience. So this, I think, will be a really nice thing. And obviously we've got a column over here which is for them to rate how it went. They could do, I've said, like a score of 1 to 5 about, or really good or really bad, or just say how they felt, just so that these practice performances happen and you can keep track of it in your planner. Okay, so following that, there are a series of pages that I've just called handy reminders. Now, most of my students are beginners or elementary. I've got a couple of intermediates, so I've created this section with them in mind. So some of it is very basic and wouldn't apply to people who've been learning for a year or two. But I'll just briefly talk you through it. So keyboard geography, how the keyboard works, names of the notes, types of notes and rests. Pretty basic stuff. Then we've got clefs and time signatures here, explaining how that works. And then the circle of fifths. Now, I did say to all my young students this week, don't worry about this page, because it does look kind of intimidating. Circle of fifths is a whole big topic that I won't go into now, but this is a fundamental thing to include when you're learning about music. But you can't introduce it too soon, because it would be too terrifying, too hard to explain. All right, then we've got a big page on dynamics showing loudest to softest with the Italian terms, and then sort of crescendo and diminuendo. Then over here, some more Italian terms, just some basic ones, and these ones are to do with tempo, so from slowest to fastest. It doesn't include all of them, of course, because that would be overwhelming. But over the page, we have a blank grid for students to fill in their own, so own the term or sign and then the meaning. And the idea is, if they have written it in, they're more likely to remember what that term or sign means, rather than me writing it in or them just seeing it in a book. They've had to write it in and really think about it. So they can build up a bank of terms and signs to refer to throughout the year, which will help embed it in their mind. And then we've got some blank pages for any other reminders that wouldn't fit in a grid, things you might want to draw out. Then we've got some lovely manuscript paper, 7 pages of manuscript paper, which can be used for any composing, or the teacher could use it to demonstrate different rhythms, or anything you need a stave, pre-written stave to write down on. And then we're on to the very last section, which is the repertoire list. So here at the back, 3 pages worth, which comes to 51 pieces, a space for 51 pieces, where you can keep track of all the pieces that have been learned in the year, piece, composer, book and date, so that if they have a compilation book, they'll know where to find that piece. And if you do something like the 40-piece challenge, you'll have enough space in these pages to do that. So there is your not so short, sorry, tour of this academic year piano planner. And I'm really, really proud of it, because it's better than I hoped, because I had this idea in my mind and I was sketching it out over the summer, and then I put it all together, and then when it arrived in the post, I was just so happy. So here's the hardback version. It's slightly narrower, but slightly taller, but all the same things inside, but it just means the cover isn't going to bend as you use it through the year. But yes, there we go. So hardback and paperback. They are available to buy on Amazon, so I will add the link to this post. If you have any questions about how to use these, I'm more than happy to answer, but hopefully that video showed you everything that was involved. And yeah, I've already in the first week, I've loved using them, not just because I made them, but I was pleasantly surprised that, there's enough room to write everything down. And it was quicker, much quicker than I found it writing in a notebook, where you had to title all the things and then make sure you covered enough. And actually having a grid where there's space for theory and sight reading and exercises, it's harder to forget to include those things. So it's a bit of a reminder to kind of give a well-balanced lesson. Okay, it was lovely to make this video again after so long, and I hope you enjoy the planners. Take care.